Dean Yerem, Purchasing Manager for Corporate Services of Nestle Business Services, talks about what it's like to run an international fleet and how they're taking advantage of the different benefits offered through Mexico, Canada, and the U.S.
Nestle's fleet is dynamic in the fact that it's not just one fleet, it's multiple fleets. Underneath Nestle, there is Dreyer's Grand Ice Cream, there's Purina Pet Care, there's Nestle Waters, there's Nestle Nutrition, and Nestle USA. I help support Nestle Canada and Nestle Mexico, and they have their own sub-fleets within them. So it's a very dynamic sized fleet. Within North America alone, we're right around 3,600 vehicles. If you add Canada and Mexico, we're over 5,000 vehicles in our fleet. And that's primarily sales vehicles and like marketing and directors. We have a very small executive fleet. So that's sort of the makeup of it. How we handle the fleet in Mexico, along with the fleets in Canada, is we try and combine all of our volumes together when we can. Mexico takes advantage of our manufacturer agreements right now with General Motors and other OEMs. So we've got a global agreement where we're trying to monitor the types of vehicles that are on the selector list, make sure that they're tied into sort of a global plan. Mexico is one of, Nestle's an international company. And the challenges we're finding right now is it's a new market that we're sort of trying to tap into to try and gain the knowledge and information on. And we're partnering up with LeasePlan right now, where we've got about 1,900 vehicles in Mexico where we don't understand where the vehicles are, where they're at in the process, that we could have cars sitting in places and paperwork where we don't really know anything about. So we're partnering up with LeasePlan to try and straighten out the paperwork, try and corral the number of vehicles, and then try and get them on the right path where if we've got all the information, all the data, then we can make best informed decisions later on. So that's kind of where we're at. Canada's in the same, they're a little bit more mature market. I've just supported Canada in a fleet management RFP just recently, with the restrictions they have with certain rules around, the Canadian government up there. It's a little dynamic. They do take advantage of our OEM agreements, but additionally they have their own. So they're kind of dotted lines. We have to be very careful with contracts and so forth and so on. But we're basically, in essence, trying to make sure that we share best practices between all their operating companies, both north, south, and North America. We're headquartered in Switzerland. We have a global, a shared service, and they have a global shared service. They will all tie in together. We've been very dynamic in the last year. We've created team rooms. We're sharing documents. We're sharing contracts. A lot of this information came about when we started to had to report on our global bonuses for General Motors. So we had to sort of mine the data, and then that sort of opened up the communication lines between people that were responsible for the fleets, because there are only certain markets, it could only be 10% of their job, as opposed to some other traditional markets where if they have a large size fleet, they may have 2-3 people, monitoring it. So it was a matter of getting the right people, getting the data, and sort of tapping into that knowledge.